Hey guys, welcome back to the game room. Back in January of 2023, you guys may have remembered I did a little video of setting up AVMatrix video switcher. It was a happier time for me. It was a fun time for me, and it definitely improved a few things video quality wise, the things that I wanted to do for the channel, that things have slowed up recently because of life, which we won't talk about here. But I mentioned that video because today we're going to do it all over again. So, AVMatrix, over the past couple 6 months, made some new models. And I decided I was going to wait for the right time to get said model. I debated, I deliberated, and I picked one. It cost me on Amazon $422 to get this bad boy. But I think if our previous purchase is anything to show that this is going to be worth that money. Now, you guys are probably wondering, why haven't I joined the curve of getting the Blackmagic XM series, the ATEM series? And that's simple. I want to be able to do certain stuff, but I also don't want to have to be fighting everyone for the same thing. And AVMatrix makes a very solid switcher. That's been proven over this past year. Now, there has been some improvements. So the last time, if you guys watched that video, which I'll link in the description for this one, the last time when we did this and we set this up, the one issue that I had was that when I hooked it up, there was no capture from the C port. It turns out that the C port was only to be used for a controller situation only. So you would basically essentially hook it up to your computer so that you could control it from the computer. Well, it's a switcher with buttons. I don't necessarily want to have to do that. So, the major improvement on the HVS0401E here is that that's no longer a problem. There's a couple other things here that you guys are probably going to notice too, but we'll get in that. So the greatest return on this is that I can now use the C port as direct capture. I no longer need a capture card. So this is going to be catching everything at full value now. No more delay. That's the beauty of it. Well, let me rephrase. There will probably still be a slight delay, as there always is with any sort of form of capture. But it's not going to be nearly as bad. Not that it's bad now, actually. But we got the same things as before. We got the tally plug for setup. We got, which I'll never use for what I do. Anyway, I'll never use it. Obviously power. And this time, nice little C cable, standard. I'm probably not going to use this C cable for my setup, though. I'll probably use this on the go, but not for the in-house setup. I'll need a longer cable. So, things that have also changed. They've added on here to the fourth input a DVI port. I don't know if you guys can see that in the camera, but that's one thing that's changed. The other thing that's changed is that there's now another live. So what that means is I can now run, in this case, because of in-house setup, it's usually 2 games, I will say, because we all know me. I can run 2 game consoles live at once and send them to 2 different outlets. So, for those of you who don't know, I run a HDMI matrix box in my setup. So that's the reason why the two TVs behind me always seem to mirror each other. It's one HDMI leaving out of my computer into the matrix box, mirroring into these TVs. And I can choose which TV gets what feed. So, and for those of you who are not sure what that is, think of going to a sports bar and seeing the game on all the TVs. That's essentially what a matrix box does. You can put an input on it, and it outputs to everything that you have it hooked up to. Easy. So I'm not going to waste too much time going over the functionality of this again, of everything here. If you guys want to see me play around with this later in the video, I will. But there are some changes that I'm not too sure about yet that I'll have to see. But I did notice that on the buttons here, they've changed the fader stuff here. So I can now do the wipes from here and tell it which wipe to do. Up, down, left, right. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. No more throttle switch for the wiping. So for the fade swipes and stuff like that. So I can tell it to fade, I can tell it to swipe, and I can do the regular cut. So that's also a thing. Still 4 inputs on this. They technically make one that does, I believe it's either 5 or 6 inputs, but those are geared toward a whole different setup of cam, and that's a whole nother can of worms. That wouldn't do good for the setup that we have here, unfortunately, but there might be one that may do the trick for travel later that I'm looking at. We'll see next year. Might have a video on that as well. But for now, we're going to cut here, and then I'm going to set up the new switcher because I'm not going to bore you guys with me plugging stuff in. It's just plugging in HDMI cables and power. Why do you want to watch that? So I'm going to stop here, cut to commercial or whatever you want to call it, and I'll be right back once this is set up. Bye.
A few moments later.
Alright guys, so we're back from intermission. So I have the hard cam currently aimed at one of the TVs because I have multi-view mode working. What you guys are seeing inside of OBS, however, is actually the live feed like you usually see if I were to be playing a game or something. So at current, I am overshooting there. There we go, that's better. So currently right now, what you guys are seeing from top to right, and I actually have picture-in-picture running. That's why you can see both. Technically speaking, it's only allowed to do one feed at a time through an input. I just happen to tell it to do live as per usual. So I'll get into this in a second. But what you're seeing there in the smaller box at the bottom of the screen here is the multi-view mode. So from top left to right going down, we have the preview mode at the left, which is showing our picture-in-picture screen. Over to the right is live, so that's showing whatever input that I have live. And we do at the bottom have some other things going on. So the top 4 boxes, or middle boxes I should say, are inputs 1 through 4. Input 1 being currently what we're on now, the PS4. Input 2, which I have nothing on it at the moment, but will later, just not right now. Input 3 at the time is good old Switch, and input 4 is the hard cam, which is, inside the picture-in-picture already. So no need for that. And then here at the bottom, we actually have, one other major change that was made to this device is that I now have an SD slot. The original one, I could upload files onto it, and I could make setups just like I would do on OBS, make screens and everything. I could do the same with this one. The only difference is that this one allows me to either stream from it or record from it. All I need is an SD card for recording. In the stream, all I need is a Ethernet cable to connect with. for internet purposes, and I'll be able to do just that. I may even hook this up via Ethernet just to see if it needs any firmware updates or anything like that to grab from the internet. And then, of course, over at the next two positions, we have date and time and temperature. This thing's fan has been kicking a little bit, but has quieted down quite a bit. It only kicked when I was messing around with picture stuff, so I think it just needed to adjust. But now it's chilling at cool 47 degrees. And finally, the menu position. So right now it's showing the menu for the picture-in-picture, as I am in picture-in-picture mode at the moment, which we are now going to cancel out because now that we've seen everything. Oh wait, before we do that, but I will pull up the menu real quick for regular stuff for you guys. See if it'll let me show that. Nope. Okay. So, oh wait, I can do it this way. There we go. Okay, yeah, that works. I'll hit the menu button. There we go. And now we get our regular menu, which is audio settings. You have AVF mode, and you also have mix. Mix, from my telling, allows you to use all the audio across all the inputs at once. This might be good if you are doing something on the road, like say recording a live show or something. That might be a good thing to have. Obviously, master volume control, which is max. You can mute everything, but there's also a mute button here on the console, so I don't have to come into this to do that. System settings, obviously, the output port at current is indeed the USB, so that's how we're getting this on OBS. This is max output, 1080 by 60. And the fact that it runs 60 frames is beautiful. I don't need it to be 4K. And currently, this is our. I'm not really sure what this actually means yet. Oh, that's right. I forgot about this. Okay, so input 4 on the back of this thing has two inputs for it. So you have an HDMI input, and then you also have a display port input. You can tell it which one to go off of. So that means I can actually plug in both of those at the same time and switch between the two. That's actually really good to know. And then finally, our network settings. So this is currently the IP and the subgate and everything for the device at its default, but I can also turn on DHCP settings. So that's also a thing. I'll leave the static there for now. I don't think I'll need to change it until I integrate it into my network, so it should be fine. And then if I were to be streaming or recording right now, I could go in here and probably like do the settings for that. But since I'm not doing either, and I wonder if that was actually pick up when I plug either one of these things into it. It just might, but I want to buy a new card for this thing, and I want to double check a few things online about the networking stuff for streaming, just to verify everything with that. Firmware update information, just so you know what firmware version you're on and all that good stuff. And again, one of the things I want to look up about the networking aspect of this is if I plug in with Ethernet cable, can I get the firmware update that way, or can I get it via the C cable? I do hope I can get it during the C cable, just so I have less a reason to use this, because I'm ultimately going to have this hooked up to my computer 90% of the time anyway. So it'd be nice just to be able to just run it through OBS like I am and just control certain aspects from the console. Speaking of controlling aspects, turning off now, good old picture in picture, so you guys can see the screen regularly without all that. Wait, why didn't it? That's interesting. Picture-in-picture seems to be stuck. Let me see why. Hmm. Now that's interesting. On OBS, the screen's still there, but I'm looking up at the live feeds everywhere else. So I think OBS just might be stuck. Not too sure. Oh, let's see if this fixes itself eventually. Little OBS. I wonder if that has something to do with me messing around here. What was that? 4, right? So system. Okay, there we go. Now it's reset itself to what it was. Perfect. All right, so OBS is just stuck. That is what it is, I guess. That's weird. It just got burned into OBS like that. Now I'm gonna move the camera real quick. Actually, I'm gonna turn it off. But I'm just curious to see if OBS catches itself up or not. Let's see if it does. So just burned into OBS for some reason. Not sure why that happened. But since we're seeing this happen live, we are going to try to attempt to see if we cannot fix that. So deactivate, activate. There we go. Easy fix. Cool. Now, second thing I want to test. So, the older switcher had some issues with audio for games. Certain games, sometimes it would not pick up the voice acting and such in the games. Sometimes it wouldn't pick up during cutscenes or during like in-game stuff. It was a bit weird. So I kind of want to test this on the game that made me notice this, which is Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires. So we're going to try with this, and we're just going to see if we notice any immediate changes. And oh wow, that audio is blaring now. That's what I wanted to see before earlier. So we're going to bring that audio down a bit. Cool. And also, guys from AVMatrix, if you're watching this, anybody from Kuwait, if you're watching this as I'm doing this test, this is, something that wasn't brought to anyone's attention before, but now it is. This is the quickest way for me to test this, just because this was the first time I noticed it, was inside of Create a Character when I was trying to go through voices. Which I'm trying to remember actually where that is. No. Not abilities. Whoop. Exit. Paste. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to let me switch one of these to my PC real quick. switch them both over to my PC now, because now I'm not sure which one that's coming from. And I should be monitoring this, but I'm not sure that I am. Let's double check and see. Yes, we are monitoring the output for this. So I should hear something. Okay, so it looks like they fixed that. That's good. I can actually hear that. Okay, so I turned that up just briefly so I could hear that from the speakers around me. I do apologize for the video. But yeah, that's a good fix. That's a really good fix. So that now means that I can actually, when I'm recording or streaming, there shouldn't be any disconnect in specific games when coming off a console now. So that's good. That's a really good thing. That's actually one of the biggest issues that I had with this, which is a small gripe to have when, you know, recording gameplay and stuff like that. It's not the worst in the world at that point. You kind of get over it, especially since majority of the time you end up wanting to turn audio off in certain games anyway because of all the copyright stuff that goes on from companies and everything. It doesn't necessarily break it, so it's not a big deal, but it is a nice fix to have, especially if you're like me and you also use this just as a regular everyday setup just so you can switch between consoles whenever you want. The way I have this set up, going through my HDMI matrix box, this takes on about 3-4 consoles at once, and I can switch them however I want on a TV, and then choose the input that it's going to on the matrix box and put it onto one of the two TVs at the same time, or, you know, 1-to-1 sort of scenario. I know I'm babbling right now, but this is a great upgrade, I do believe, for my setup. The next upgrade for my setup will be coming soon. It will either be a new graphics card for my computer, or B, a new HDMI matrix box to support the current setup that I have, so I can make sure that I have enough slots for everything and a little bit of extra for later. So that being said, if you guys are into this sort of thing, me reviewing certain tech like this that, you know, is game related, please do make sure to comment on this video. If there's anything you're interested in me reviewing that could be like tech wise for gaming purposes, feel free to shout me out. I was initially gonna do a video reviewing some cheap controllers, but I never got around to it, and I've had them for so long now that I'm not even sure if you can even get these anymore on Amazon. I'll check, but if they're still available, then it might be worth doing. We'll see. That being said, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Happy gaming, and don't forget to do all the usual YouTube stuff. I'm not really too into saying that at the end of this video. I'm just extremely happy and excited to dive more into this baby. She might get some outside use too. More news on that later, maybe. We'll see how the rest of this month goes. But that being said, I've been Serge here in the game room. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. Adios.